Westfield Memorial Hospital provides high-quality health care to residents of Western New York, offering patients the most sophisticated medical advancements while keeping the ease and familiarity of a community hospital. Support for Chautauqua Sunrise has been provided by WRFA 107.9 FM, Jamestown's public radio station, streaming online 24/7 at WRFALP.com. Low power to the people. Chautauqua Sunrise is made possible by a grant from Fredonia Place, a continuing care retirement community providing dignity in a modern luxury environment. Meter's Restaurant, a family tradition for over 50 years in downtown Ripley, is a proud supporter of Chautauqua Sunrise. Meter's provides all-day dining, banquet services, and custom catering, specializing in pie. Funding for Chautauqua Sunrise is provided in part by the Chautauqua County Industrial Development Agency, with offices in Jamestown, Dunkirk, and Westfield, helping businesses to prosper throughout Chautauqua County. From supporting people with disabilities to enjoy great lives to providing health care services that are available to anyone, the Resource Center has been improving our county for more than 60 years. Learn more about how the Resource Center makes a positive difference in people's lives. From the Access Chautauqua Studios in Mabel, it's Chautauqua Sunrise. Chautauqua Sunrise is hosted by Doc Hamels and supported by the award-winning volunteers at Access Chautauqua. We are here to share local news, colorful interviews, and events of interest to everyone. Chautauqua Sunrise is broadcast live Saturday mornings each week from 9 to 10 a.m. Send events via email or call us live. Check us out on YouTube and Facebook. And now, from the Access Chautauqua Studios, it's Chautauqua Sunrise.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Doc Hamels, and thanks for joining me here on Chautauqua Sunrise at Access Chautauqua. Today I'm going to start the show out very, very differently. A lot of times I make a lot of announcements and comments, but I want to share a memoir with you of my own, because today obviously is a very solemn day, being 9/11 as we all know it to be. And I want to just take a little time here in Chautauqua County to think about this. My memoir starts out with the time I was the regional administrator at the Hughes Educational Center at BOCES. And I was in my office just like any other morning. It was a nice morning, as I recall. It was sunny. 20 years ago, like at this very moment. And one of my very dear friends that worked with us, it was Frank Stowe. He was our head custodian. He was the fire chief for Asheville. And he's like 6'1", and he's a big guy. He just fills up the doorway. And he walked in, and he's a real quiet guy, quiet giant. And he says, "Doc." "Yeah, Frank, what are you doing here?" This was pretty unusual. And he says to me something to the effect that they think that the drug cartel in South America or Colombia had crashed an airplane into the World Trade Center. And that's what we knew at that point. And so the story that day begins at 8:46 when this first takes place. So that was 14 minutes before this show started. Then the next thing I know, they wheel a TV on a cart, you know how they have them in schools. We put it right outside of our office. And at 9:03, which is 1 minute ago, another airplane hit the South Tower. And 1 minute before this show ends today, the South Tower collapsed. 2 hours after the North Tower was hit, it collapsed. At 9:37, so about a little more than halfway through the show today, the Pentagon building was hit. And then 3 minutes after this show is over today at 10:03, those very brave passengers overtook the pilots that had commandeered the airplane, and they crashed in a field in Pennsylvania, sparing life, limbs, just all kinds of carnage. So with that, I want to take a moment of silence to do our part. So Chris, I know we have something here prepared, so let's just sit kind of quiet. Just think about it for a bit. It all happened exactly 20 years ago today. Thank you. You know, when I retired and left BOCES, actually it was when I left BOCES, I didn't retire at that point. Frank came up to me and he handed me something, again, very quietly. And if you know Frank, his hand is like huge compared to mine. And I'm a pretty good sized guy. And he puts this thing in my palm and I looked down and I kind of got teary eyed. What it was a memorial coin of 9/11. Because he and I were like bonded in that very moment. And I always remember him today. My last thoughts on this, because you can go on this whole thing, is that, 20 years ago, our country pulled together. We were united, we were all together on this, and look where we are today. Kind of sad. We're divided over an invisible enemy that we can't seem to agree on. And I'm sad to tell you, I now know a fourth person that died from COVID who refused to get or didn't want to get the vaccine. Folks, this is real. And we are putting each other in jeopardy if we don't get vaccinated or if we don't take the right precautions. So please think about this. Think about where we were 20 years ago and how we rallied together. This is another moment in America's history. We need to rally. We really, really do. Okay? So enough on that. All right. So this is a call-in show. And I want to say good afternoon to my listeners on WRFA 107.9, low power to the people in Jamestown. Thanks for listening. I hope you're having a great day. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to anywhere in the world that's watching us, because we stream live anywhere in the world. It's really cool. I want to also remind you that this is a live show, and my guests who are patiently waiting in the wings to get on the show will be willing to take questions or comments from you. If you have a clever organization that has a fundraiser or something special that you want to share, let us know. Give us a call, 753-5225. If you miss us and it's an upcoming thing, there's an email address, chautauquasunrise@gmail.com. Don't be shy. People send me stuff all the time, and we get those things here at the studio. So we're your live TV station here and show for Chautauqua County, and happy to do so. Speaking of WRFA, our good friends, they have been my partner in crime, I guess you'd say, for a number of years now. They have willingly, through Dennis Drew at the time, who was the director, executive manager and so forth, to take our soundtrack and to rebroadcast us every week. And they're having a special fundraiser today through next week. And if you donate $50 or more, you get a really cool t-shirt. And I'm happy to say that I was one of the first kids on the block to donate for the show here. And I just wish them real good luck with their fundraiser. It's supporting some of the local programs that they put together, especially Arts on Fire, where they bring in musicians and things like that. That's really cool. As you know, I'm a musician. So check out WRFA. They're online, and you can donate right then and there. Okay, now, I have a note here, Chris, something to do with a poker run. Do we have a picture for that? Yeah. This is the 10th annual Mabel Lawnmower Charity Poker Run. I'm told they've raised funds for hospice in the past. I'm not exactly sure who they're raising funds for this year. Could be the same organization, but they do good stuff. And this is happening here in Mabel sometime noon today. And Randy, my scout out there, he checks these things out for me. 450 tractors are supposed to be in this event. I don't know. How cool would that be? Grab your John Deere or whatever, and off you go. And sounds like a lot of fun. So if you see a bunch of tractors going down 394 or wherever, that's what that's all about. Okay, a footnote here, a reminder that those of you in the Ripley area, next Saturday, September 18th, is the Ripley Library's reopening. It's not their grand opening because it's a grand reopening. The staff there and the board and the state and the county, they put all kinds of funds. It is drop dead gorgeous. I'm telling you, it's unbelievable what happened to that library. And it's going to be from 4 to 7 Saturday. They're going to have some light hors d'oeuvres and beverages and things like that. So please, if you're interested, go see your local library. And it's open to anybody in Chautauqua County, wherever, because it's a public library. Really nice. Okay. Last week we had the term eponymous that we all kind of looked at each other like, what does that mean? And so I'll give you my best definition. If I do something and I'm known for it, it's now eponymous. It's been named for me. Like tripping down the stairs, oh, he just did a Doc. Or Justin, who creates good coffee, he did a Justin, or whatever. You name an event or something for that person. So we all looked at each other and I thought, I don't have any idea what that word is. So there you go. Now, something very cool took place this week, and I hope you enjoy this as much as I did. It was about 8 o'clock in the morning. I don't even remember what day it was. And I'm thinking Wednesday, and my wife calls me up. She had just left, and she calls and says, go outside, look at the lake, because we live on the escarpment, and look what I found, okay? That's a water spout, all right? Now, the water spout is created through a temperature inversion, blah, 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 blah. But anyways, this thing is like huge, and they do come on land, and they are pretty cool. They're not tornadoes, but they can be a bit destructive if they do come on land. And I know this seems hard to believe, Justin, but they've been known to suck fish out of the lake and drop them on land. I'm not making this up, really. And so I sent that to the Post-Journal, and maybe some of you saw that. And then Dave Caulfield from Indiana writes to me. He's a newsman or weatherman out there. And he says, can I share your picture? And I go, yeah, but the deal is you have to send me a link to yours when you do the report. So we were able to get, Chris was able to pull off a snapshot. So there's my picture of the water spout being broadcast in Indiana. And everybody goes, only you, Doc. So that's a Doc, okay? That's an eponymous situation. I did a Doc. Anyways, how cool is that? So we put Ripley on the map once more in Chautauqua County, and everybody in Indiana now knows that we have water spouts off of Lake Erie. All right, enough of that. I have a few announcements, and then we'll get to our show. These announcements came in throughout the week. All right, what's this one? Chautauqua Hometown Heroes Veterans Memorial Building dedication. This is a market calendar, October 5. Which isn't far away. It's going to be at the Mabel Village Cemetery. That's where this building actually is being constructed. All welcome to share your impressions, your thoughts, your feelings regarding the memorial, and welcome letters to be placed in the memorial dedication and commemorative booklet. Please send any letters or thoughts that you have by September 21 to P.O. Box 102, Mayville, New York, 14757. Again, that's P.O. Box 102, Mayville, New York, 14757. And Jim Kurtz has been one of the fellows that's been pushing it on this. So, Jim, you usually are watching, so I hope I got that right for you. And they're going to be on here in a couple of weeks to do a vignette with me to talk a little bit more about the memorial and what's going to happen that day. Okay? So, October 5 market calendars. At 1 p.m. All right, so then some things to do this weekend. All right, so starting today through October 10, this is called the Great Grape Walks at Johnson Estate Winery in Westfield. Walks are held on Saturdays 10 a.m. and 10:30 a.m., and Sundays 10 a.m., 10:30, 11, 11:30. Enjoy a self-guided walk through the vineyards. Now, how cool would that be? And that were first planted by Fred Johnson in 1961. Participants can sample up to 13 varieties of estate-grown grapes and pick their own grapes using borrowed clippers in a provided basket. After the walk, taste wines made from those estate grapes paired with small cheese, and they have these little boards. Charcuterie. Somebody else helped me with that one day. Was it you? Charcuterie? Somebody was on the show, the charcuterie boards. They were selling them or something. Charcuterie board. So let me read that part again. After the walk, taste wines made from those estate grapes paired with a small cheese and charcuterie board. That sounds good. At the outdoor dining area. Cost is $35 per adult. And give them a call at 716-326-2191. Okay? So, pretty cool. Then you've got the Red, White, and Blues Festival at various locations throughout Fredonia, New York. The festival kicks off, started yesterday by music by the Freeze at the Fredonia Memorial American Legion Post 59, and then followed by Dr. Z and the Blues Remedy at 8. And hold on a minute. Then the event continues today from noon to tonight at 11 with performances at the Water Street main stage, Heenan's Irish Pub, Coughlin's Pub, Fred's 64 on the Rocks, Muldoon's, Tully's Bar. There's a lot of bars in Fredonia. Old Main Inn, Domus Fair, EBC West, and Valentine's. I've been there. For complete event details, give them a call at 716-785-7123. 716-785-7123. That's called the Red, White, and Blues Festival up in Fredonia. All right, and then finally, the 22nd Annual Sinclair History Fair from 9:30 a.m. to 10 p.m. at various locations in Sinclairville. The fun-filled day with activities and events for the whole family kicks off at 10 a.m. with a grand parade at 10 a.m. There will be a craft and food vendors at the park from 10 a.m. till 5, chicken barbecue at the fire hall, a classic car cruise at the village, a magician singing our history and historical, singing, this is written weird, there's a magician. There's going to be some history and historical show and presentations at the Sinclairville Free Library, a historic tour of the Evergreen Cemetery, and a whole lot more. The day concludes at 9. I'm assuming that's today. Fireworks later on, and for more information, give them a call at 665-1261. Okay, that's how easy it is, and if you have an event or something like that, give us a call right here. And otherwise, we're going to take a short announcement, and we'll be right back.
At Social Security, we are always thinking of ways to save you time and make things easier. That's why we created My Social Security. A My Social Security account allows you to access your earnings history and benefits information, request a replacement Social Security card, get a proof of income letter, estimate and apply for benefits, and more. Save time. Go online. Open a My Social Security account at ssa.gov/myaccount. Social Security. Securing today and tomorrow.
Produced at U.S. taxpayer expense.
Okay, thanks for coming back with us. Charcuterie, eponymous. There's our vocabulary words for the day. I feel like I'm back in my classrooms. All right, today we have folks from the Office for Aging Services, Chautauqua County. I put the services in here because they added the S in the last year or so, as Dr. Spanos will instruct me on. We have two folks, Lacey Wilson and Carrie Skelton, who is a returnee and helped produce a series here called Chautauqua Strong and Healthy. Okay, and we can talk about that, I suppose, later on. So let's start with Lacey, since you're new to the show. And Lacey, you have a bunch of initials after your name, so let's pop her titles up here. This is kind of fun. So what's the alphabet soup on your titles?
So MPH stands for Masters in Public Health, which a lot of people ask what that means, but basically born out of the vaccination and immunization movement. But I work in the preventive side of public health, and then registered dietitian nutritionist is the idea.
So for public health, did you go to Slippery Rock? Or?
Actually, University of Albany.
Okay, because there aren't many places that you can get that degree.
There aren't many places, and actually University of Albany is one of the most well-known, of course, working really collaboratively with the State Health Department.
Okay, so tell us a little about yourself besides your initials. So where do you come from? Where'd you go to school? All that good stuff.
Originally from Chautauqua County, Fluvanna, Actually, so you had a program on a couple of weeks
Your
ago
cousin
about
was
Blue
here,
Panda?
yes.
Yeah, actually, he's my brother.
He's your
actually.
brother?
Rick is my brother.
He didn't say that.
Well, we oftentimes don't announce those things in public. We feel out how
Rick
people
is your
feel.
brother.
Yes, he's my brother. Yes.
You didn't
My
say that,
older,
did you?
my elder brother.
I did not
Yes.
know that.
Yeah.
Rick Kiefer.
So, and I went to the Bemis Point School Districts,
Right.
district, and graduated from Maple Grove.
Mhm.
So, yeah.
Okay. And this is where you're supposed to do Hi Kids.
Oh, yes.
The-
Also, hi to Paisley, Oakley, and Atlas. They specifically asked for a shout out on TV today.
And how old
so
are
we're
they?
gonna- Paisley is 7, and she just started 3rd grade. Oakley is 5 and just started kindergarten, and Atlas is 3, and he is starting preschool this year. So all kids in
Thank you for preschool.
Yes, yes.
I know that feeling. Okay, and returning is Carrie Skelton. And Carrie, let's go through your alphabet. Let's pop up her name and look at your initials, because there's a lot of initials here. Woo!
Masters of Science,
Okay.
Masters of Public Health. Mine was at University of Pittsburgh
Okay.
versus Albany. And RDN, Registered Dietitian Nutritionist as well.
Okay, and Carrie, what's your history? What's your story? Where do
I
you come
am
from?
originally from Latrobe, Pennsylvania, which is about 45 miles east of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania area.
Mm-hmm.
My husband is always telling me about my accent, Western Dutch, Western Pennsylvania.
I didn't really
accent.
notice it.
Oh, wonderful.
No, seriously. I pick up on accents because I interview a lot of people, and I really didn't notice it too much.
Yes, yes. And I have a shout out to my kids. 5, Callan. She started kindergarten this year.
Did you cry?
I did not. I thought I would.
Yeah.
I did not.
Some
I was
cheer.
pretty excited
Yay,
for
you
her.
got it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's
Did she
thrilled.
cry?
No. She was
brave.
nervous about
I'd be nervous, yeah.
the long day.
Yeah.
Yes, but she's been doing well. One
Good.
week into it, yes.
Okay.
And then my son, he'll be 2 in December, Kieran.
Right, yeah, yeah. Awesome. Very good. Okay. So today we're going to talk about nutrition. And we're going to talk about the importance for all ages, but specifically folks that are a little bit older and so forth. So I don't care where we start. Lacey, let's start with you, and let's talk about the programs that the Office for Aging Services provides and anything you want to talk about.
Right.
I'm ready.
So I'd love to say that I planned this way, but I didn't.
Okay.
September happens to be Malnutrition Awareness Month. And older adults are at really the greatest risk of malnutrition in a number of ways. And here in Chautauqua County, it is something that we really are mindful of and focus on in our programming through the Office for Aging Services, because we have some variables in the mix in terms of we're very rural, transportation issues, which those all kind of follow up into issues of access to nutrition, so food insecurity for older adults. And then, of course, the weather plays a role here as well. So we do have a lot of older adults who are mobile in the community, other than the months of, all of the snow that we get and the cold.
Right.
So
Okay, hang on.
Yeah.
So let's talk about what we mean by malnutrition, because people watch my show and they might say, I'm fine, everything's fine. And I always hear that from the seniors, I'm fine, and they're not fine. So what would be indicators? Let's define malnutrition, because I think people would be surprised what we mean by that.
Right. Yeah. So malnutrition, recently there have been some big movements and initiatives in the world of nutrition science, because as a dietitian, the world of nutrition science is fairly new. Malnutrition, we now have some clinical indicators that we can look at somebody and say, oh, there's some malnutrition here. So at the physician's office or somebody who's working with a dietitian, we can look at some clinical indicators saying, oh, what's your weight, your current body weight? What's your average or general body weight? Have there been changes? And are those short-term changes, acute, we call those, or are they long-term, chronic kind of changes? In weight, muscle mass, as well as fat mass. There are differences, and you can clinically look at somebody, there are points on the face and the neck and the rib cage and around the knee where we can look at somebody and say, oh, we can clearly see changes in fat mass and muscle mass. But malnutrition really comes down to intake, right? What are you consuming, and is your diet healthy? And there's a very clear definition for a healthy diet. It's adequate, moderate, varied, and balanced. And those are clear definitions as well. We all talk about moderation, right? This is a variety, moderation and variety really go hand in hand. But balance is really where we can look at somebody who's an older adult who says, hey, I've got adequate fat mass.
Oh, check that box.
Check, I'm not malnourished. I've got adequate, fat mass and muscle mass. But where's that balance in macronutrients, micronutrients, fiber, and water? And are you getting a variety? Or are you really sticking to one type of nutrient and you're really eliminating? There's a ton of fad diets out there too, and the same thing happens with our fad diets.
I noticed right after Christmas there's like about 1 million of them, isn't there?
1 million, right, always.
Never before Christmas, always after Christmas.
And so we look at malnutrition as not just calorie intake, but how many of your micronutrients are you getting? Adequate calcium? Are you getting adequate B vitamins? Are you getting an adequate amount of iron and fiber and not so much sodium, right? So balance has to do with having too much or too little of something.
All right, so Lacey, I've studied Latin, so it's very simple. Mal means bad or not good in nutrition, so it's not good nutrition. So in the United States, we're like, one of the premier countries, how is it possible we have malnutrition?
Right. So I was actually thinking along the very same lines as Carrie was talking, and I think that's the issue in Western cultures, specifically in cultures that we do have a lot of points of access to food. And so while very traditionally malnutrition is about a lack of intake, it's very difficult to diagnose in a number of situations or assess or even screen for it, because now we know that malnutrition can occur on a whole spectrum of issues.
So it's not that weak, hunched over, skinny bone
It
person,
could be.
but that's what we always think of malnutrition.
Exactly.
They don't have enough food.
Right.
It could be you're eating all the wrong food.
It could be that you're eating all the wrong foods. We typically, as Carrie was saying, oh, well, I'll check the box because I have plenty of fat mass. You can be well overweight and obese and still be malnourished. So it can be internal issues that are occurring. Is your digestive system not working properly, and so you're not absorbing the macronutrients and the micronutrients, and so now we're malnourished? Is it other diseases that are inhibiting, or is there a rapidly growing cancer that's taking all of the energy to grow the cancer, and then we see the malnutrition occur secondary to that disease? So it's really difficult to pinpoint, and because of that, then it's difficult to manage. So you would love it if there were one problem and one way to manage it, and that's your solution, and we move forward. That's where in public health and nutrition programs like the one that I lead, it's really important that we really have this all-encompassing approach to malnutrition, specifically for older adults.
So if I hear you right, if you start at a certain point, regardless how old you are, and you begin a path of malnutrition, poor nutrition, I'll call it poor nutrition, you're not eating correctly, then you're going to start creating comorbidity. You're going to have diabetes, you're going to have a heart condition, and you don't even realize you're doing it to yourself. We blame it on genetics, we blame it on blah, 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 blah. And a lot of times it's our own eating habits. Is that what you're saying?
Absolutely. It's the interplay of genetics and our environment. And we see, you talked about type 2 diabetes and heart disease. We see that in the United States, where we're an industrialized society here, and we grew really rapidly, we also see all the conveniences that come along with those things. Along with the conveniences, there's less physical activity. We're not walking and riding bikes places, we're in cars. You know, there's less outdoor labor and things. Everything is done for us, you know, or we hire it out to be done. So it's that interplay between both of them. And then of course too, you see the influx of convenience foods. You know, if you go to developing countries or even some more traditional countries in terms of how they look at food and their food systems are built, they aren't eating their meals in their cars like we do. You know, that's a very new and modern thing, that you would actually eat a meal inside a car as you're driving to the next destination.
Absolutely.
As opposed to being around a table
Absolutely.
with other people.
You know, and I'm not dissing this right now, but it maybe this fits. Of course, we see all the fast food commercials to ad nauseum. I mean, it just goes on forever. But then I've been seeing commercials for you can order boxed meals where everything comes in there. I'm thinking to myself, what is wrong with you people? Seriously, what is wrong? That we've come to the point that either we got to go someplace to eat, or we've got to have a box delivered to our house. I mean, I'm half Sicilian. I grew up cooking. You know, I grew up going out and digging gardena with my grandmother and tomatoes and, you know, preparing food. And even to this day, I have a garden and I'm bringing in stuff. So I can't get my head around it. I just can't.
Yeah. I think it does. It speaks to just a culture where we are really far removed from the source of our food. So it's really interesting to look at studies that they do some qualitative, you know, data collection where they're not collecting numbers, they're collecting stories or, you know, narratives. And you talk to people, especially children, and they don't know where, you know, the meat in their burger comes from. They'll say the grocery store a lot of times. You know, they don't realize this is a cow. I'm always nervous talking about my children earlier. I'm very transparent about their food, and they know a lot, and they share that with their friends, and it makes their friends very nervous a lot of times. You know, like, so my daughter Oakley will be like, you know, you're eating a cow right now, right? You know, that makes people nervous. But I think just as generationally, you see that we've become less and less aware of where our food is coming from. So I think that, you know, the boxed meals like the HelloFresh and different ones, I think it kind of speaks to that. I am okay as a public health practitioner that we're kind of moving at least back to a sense of getting people to use whole ingredients again. I hope that's where this is moving. So I think it's kind of the bridge between the convenience and the whole foods, maybe. So it is actually something that we talk about employing, because one of the things you have to think about too from our perspective at the public level is that there are things that we're called food deserts, we call them. You may have heard about this before. And food deserts can occur in both rural areas, suburban areas, and urban areas. And it really just means that there is a lack of access to whole foods, you know, or fresh produce, and
At a reasonable price.
At a reasonable price. So if you think about in our area, in rural areas where of course there's lots of farmland surrounding us, but if you're an older adult who's quite frankly isolated in your home because you don't have transportation and maybe you don't have family members or neighbors nearby to help, there might be farmland a mile up the road from you, but you can't access that produce.
Yeah.
Or you can't access that
You're
whole
in a
food.
walker or wheelchair or whatever,
Right.
or you're by yourself, your
Right.
car isn't
And
running.
access goes beyond transportation. Access goes as far as capability to meal prep,
Right.
right? And to cook that food, you know, so again, back to your comment about the walkers and the wheelchairs, if you don't have the stamina to stand and to
Right.
prepare your food, you have lack of access to food as well.
Okay, before we talk about your program, because I want to talk about the program, I do have one thing I wrote down. All right, so my grandson Raleigh was 7. He lives in Florida. When they come, he and his brothers and his mom and that come up to visit, he's a vegetarian, he tells me. And so we were making meatloaf or something one day for the family, and he says, I can't eat that. I said, not a problem. Grandpa's going to take good care of you. So we made black bean burgers, and
Yes.
he loved them.
Yes.
But what's this meatless burger that's going around? I mean, what's that all about? What's in there?
Oh yeah, like
Do
the
we know?
Impossible burgers
The
and things
Impossible
like that.
burgers.
Yeah.
And I've had them.
Yeah.
Very tasty. But again, it's plant-based.
But what
just
is
like,
it? What is it?
Well, if you read the ingredients on the back, now I haven't read them recently, but I would suspect there's soy.
Soy? Okay, soy's okay.
Soy,
Right,
Protein. right.
absolutely. And
Wheats and
Yes.
things like that. A lot of
Wheat glutens.
gluten-based.
So they've kind of figured out a
it's
formula?
very lab-based. Yeah, I mean, it's very scientific how they put this together. They've even created compounds and used like amino acid-based compounds, which are protein-based, building blocks of life, basically. They've used those in combination with like food extract juices, like beet juices and things, to even create
to give the color.
And even almost like the blood, that
It's
you would see in there.
beautiful.
Yeah,
It's beautiful.
really, they've gone to the nth degree to recreate.
So we're apt to buy a meatless bird that we really don't know what's in it, but yet we won't get a vaccine. Don't make a lot of sense, does it?
Might not be the same groups.
There's
there.
my
Probably not the
my
same groups.
commentary today.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have a number of folks, various ages, because children can be malnourished if they live in poverty or whatever. Somebody doesn't know how to cook.
Again, too many of the calorie nutrients and not enough of the
Fibers and
vitamins and minerals.
So what does the Office for Aging Services do about it? Because I know you're doing a lot about it.
Right. So, we probably should come back and talk about all of the different ones at a separate time, because I could talk about this for hours.
We have 23 minutes.
We'll try to fit it in
You
here.
do whatever you want.
So really, I think in terms of what we've been talking about with malnutrition, I really would like to highlight our dining in program.
Okay.
And what dining in is, it's a home delivered meal service. So as Carrie was, speaking to a little earlier, is that we have a number of older adults in our community, as there are, across the nation, that are homebound. They have a difficulty getting out of their home. They might not have, like we were talking earlier, friends, family, neighbors, supports around them to help get them food.
Let me stop you right there, because folks, you might say, "Oh, there are a lot of people in this county that are in that position." I know this for a fact, because when we went around with my Rotary Club helping deliver some of those packages that you all put together at Christmas time, these people are isolated. They could barely get to the door, or they were, like you said, living in a little apartment, and they don't get out much.
Right,
So
right.
I've seen it up front and close.
And I think a lot of the consensus there too, where some of that perception comes from, is I think, again, in our culture, we have long-term care supports and long-term nursing homes. People traditionally talk about them as, and I think we think, oh well, anybody in that condition would be in a nursing home, so they're taken care of. But especially in our very traditional county here in New York, in Chautauqua County, people want to stay in their homes.
Absolutely.
And they want to be independent. And that's really the mission of the broader organization that we are a part of, is to help people stay home independently and safely. And so nutrition, of course, is a major component of that. So if you're malnourished and you're weak and you fall and you hurt yourself, so it's the whole cascade of events. So nutrition, we really try to identify if that is a need, and get those resources in place for people and help them access good nutrition. So Carrie and I work really closely together in the Dining In program, and what that is helping to outreach to these individuals who want to stay in their home, who are having food access issues, and we get them, through the intake process through New York Connects into our office.
All right, hang on now, because we, believe it or not, we have a little slide for that. So let's pop that up, Chris, while we're talking, because there's a phone number that,
Yes.
see that? How cool are we?
On the ball,
Right.
on the ball here.
So by calling this number?
By calling this number, if you or a neighbor or somebody that you feel is having access to food issues and is unable to get out of their home, they are possibly a candidate and eligible for this service that we provide.
Okay, hold that thought for a second. You'll see why. For those that are listening on the radio right now, the number is 753-4582, because they can't see the number. So again, 753-4582. This is across Chautauqua County, right?
Across Chautauqua County, we service the entire county. So when they come in through our intake process, we have some really dedicated staff who call each client that has called and requested this service, and they just have a really detailed conversation with them about what's going on in their lives, because of course we don't want to miss that we could identify the malnutrition or the access to food issue, but are there other issues going on as well that we can come around?
All right, so let's give those folks that are listening right now the words to use. They call this number, And they say what?
They would say, I'm having access to food issues, or I need help getting food into my home because I can't get out of my home to get it myself.
Okay, so give a little bit of a story behind it.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Now, I'm going to share a story with you right now. The gentleman that you saw in the beginning of my show, older gentleman, maybe you saw him with a military cap, that was my dad. My dad lived to be 94 years old. He stayed at home, refused to go anywhere because he was mobile, independent, and gosh darn it, I'm not going anywhere. If you went to his house till the time he was 93 and a half, you opened up the refrigerator, tomatoes, lettuce, fresh fruits, meats, cheeses, milks, you name it. But as he got in that last stretch, his health began to deteriorate. And then when I went into the house, now I'm seeing more space in the refrigerator. I'm seeing some stuff that probably was getting a little expired. So we had to talk a little bit about that. So those are the things I think others should look for, is go look in your family's refrigerator. Would you agree with that?
I would absolutely.
Be nosy a little bit.
I would absolutely agree. Carrie
Don't
knows.
be intrusive, but be a little nosy.
Right, and Carrie knows I talk so much about my grandpa. My grandpa's turning 95 this month.
All right.
He lives at home in Pennsylvania.
Oh, Gus.
Yes, Gus, who worked on the Nickel Plate Railroad.
With my father-in-law.
Yep, and so he is the same. You know, he is a good old boy going to be in his home. He puts his flag out and up every day, and he takes it back down every night in his driveway. And the same thing, you know, so he's really who I think about. My grandmother prepared all of his meals, you know, when they were married. She's no longer with us, and so it has been this interplay of family coming around him to provide meals at different times, and talking about some of these services in his community in order to ensure that he is having access to consistent nutrition. And I think what kind of the paramount picture is to, or what I think about, is like my grandfather now. Does he drive? Well, yes, he still has his car at home. Should he be driving? I'm not sure. But he rarely now can get out to a restaurant. He rarely can go get his own food. And so at this point, that's when we're saying, okay, we really need to probably bring in some other services for him to kind of fill in those gaps where the family can't meet those needs any longer. So yeah, the dining in program is what we call it. It's a wonderful collaboration and partnership in Chautauqua County, because Carrie and I we do all of the management of the program. Of course, we have the honor and the privilege of receiving the federal and state funds to our office. We manage all of those funds. Carrie plans all of the menus based on the very rigorous nutrition standards, because of course, if this is to combat or prevent...
You're like the lunch lady.
Well, other than she's not serving it. She has to do all of the planning of it. But there's really rigorous nutrition standards, because of course that's the whole significance of this program, is to prevent or combat malnutrition.
All right, before Carrie tells us what the menu is, what's the cost and how does it work?
So interesting that you would ask about the cost.
Well, yeah.
Yes.
Nothing's free.
Nothing is free. Yes, actually, you're right on the right track. So I think there's an idea in communities that we work really closely with Meals on Wheels, great partner agencies in this community. They do all of the delivery for us of these meals to our clients. And I think that there is this sense in our community, because Meals on Wheels themselves, they have their own food service system, and they can serve people in a very similar way that we do. And they often use their fundraising dollars and things like that to help serve people, you know, at times free of charge. But we are actually a different program. So our program is funded through federal dollars in the Older Americans Act.
And it's called the Dining In program.
It's the Dining In program.
Not Meals on Wheels, Dining In.
Right.
Gotcha.
We are dining in. And so those federal funds come down through the state, and they're allotted to each county that has an Office for Aging Services, basically.
Sure.
And those funds are meant to be used to serve older adults who kind of meet all of that criteria of needing to stay home but still needing great nutrition. And so we manage all of those dollars that come through, and it's really a subsidized program, or you can think about it almost like a grant-funded structure would be. So while we have funds that come into the program, those funds are limited each year. So while we would love to serve every single person that we possibly could, if we made the meals free, if we talked about them as being free, of course we'd be limited to just that amount of dollars that we have.
Right.
So how we set it up is we set it up as a contribution-based system, where we say pay what you can. We give people the dignity to say, I would love to pay the full cost of this meal. So we let everybody know what the full cost is. But of course, we would never want anybody to not participate in the program because there may be a financial need there.
What's the full cost?
The full cost is about $9 a meal, $9 and some change a meal.
Okay.
And so,
It's
you
not
know,
bad.
it's not bad at all. If you think about the nutrition, the functionality, so these meals are planned again to give the utmost nutrition, specifically for older adults, functionally appropriate for older adults so they can handle it if there's arthritis or there's vision problems or things like that, chewing, swallowing difficulties. All of these things are taken into account. And then the convenience of it, that you can warm it up in the microwave, the oven, and it's delivered to your door, which also provides that safety check. So this is where our partners come in with the Meals on Wheels program.
Right. How's it
When-
going today? Everything okay there? Yeah.
Exactly. And what we love to hear, and we are so proud to work with our Meals on Wheels partners in this way, when we survey, which we just did a round of surveys with our home delivered meal clients in this dining in program, and you know, we get to hear all about how grateful they are for this service because it allows them to stay home,
Yeah.
and specifically how much they really love their drivers that show up every day. And they'll
They're
talk
the front
about them,
line, yeah.
they're being like their best friends and
Right.
their confidants in a lot of
Okay.
ways.
So, Carrie, this is a meal for the day or multiple meals for the day? Or
Well,
how's that work?
Depends on when that client calls and says, I have a nutrition need, I have a lack of access to food, depending on transportation or meal preparation issues. Our meals assessors, you know, our staff, they determine whether that person is eligible for, you know, 1 meal a day 5 days a week, 1 meal a day 7 days a week, 2 meals a day 5 days a week, or 2 meals a day 7 days a week. So there's various levels of need, and we determine that need. So it could be 1 meal or 2 meals that somebody is getting. So there still is a need where somebody who is calling us, they're still going to need some amount of food
So like
from the
lunch and
grocery
dinner
store.
type of thing?
It's generally lunch and dinner.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Now, let me stop you one more time because I'm really into this now. Is this based on income?
No.
It is not.
Okay, because people, that's the first thing, is I got to fill out one of those stupid forms. No, you don't.
No.
Contribution, if you can make it. All right, so what
And
would,
the contribution can be, you know, cash check, credit card, whatever, but also SNAP benefits can be used. SNAP is the.
no, I know what SNAP is, but how does that work?
We take SNAP benefits as the payment.
So you got your SNAP card, which is like a little credit card, and you just say, take it off of this.
Correct.
How
Yep.
cool is
They
that?
call
It's
our office.
great.
And what we love to encourage, and this is something, you know, that we've made a special priority project really at our office, is in Chautauqua County. We have a number of older adults who qualify for SNAP that are not utilizing the program right now. And so those are dollars left on the table for Chautauqua County in combating malnutrition. So, you know, there's a lot that goes into that conversation. Again, if you think about the personality of our county, there's stigmas there attached
I don't
with
want
the
that
SNAP
card.
dollars. I don't want that card.
I
or
don't
somebody
need that
needs
card.
It. Somebody needs
Somebody
it more
else
than
needs
I
it.
do.
Exactly.
Somebody else needs it.
And so we tell people all the time, you know, to think about it like, you know, not as an entitlement program, but more like your Medicare or your Social Security. You paid into this.
Yeah.
This is just
a
money
benefit.
that's been set aside for you now
right.
to use when you need it.
Okay, so I
So
prepped
the-
you. I said I want to know what the meals are like. So what would
the
be a couple dinners that you might
Okay.
provide?
So 1 meal will provide 1/3 of what your whole day needs are.
Okay.
Calories, vitamins, minerals, so
Gotcha.
proteins. 1/3 of what you
1/3.
need.
Right.
And so, an example, you know, we do 2 menu cycles a year: summer cycle and winter. We eat very different, you know, seasonally, and so we provide that in
Peanut
our
butter
menu.
year round.
Right. Oh, yeah, yeah, absolutely. So we provide those kind of differences, and I've been working our fall, winter menu starts October 1, and an example might be spaghetti and meatball day with a hot veg, broccoli maybe, fruit, 8-ounce milk, and depending on whether that has enough calories or not, you may also get a dessert with your with
I
the
want you to
meal.
know you've ruined my suppers for the last couple of years, because I look at my plate and I go, well, I have to look at it as a clock, and do I have 3/4 of my plate with vegetables and fruits, and my
Right.
protein is over here. We have a phone call. Let's hold on a second. Good morning, caller.
Good morning, Doc. How are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
Jeff.
Oh, Jeff.
I'm doing good.
Where are you?
Yes.
Jeff is my engineer. You're not here. Where are you?
Where am I? I am out north of Hammondsport on the west side of Chautauqua Lake. We're getting ready to kick off our Camp Good Days ride.
Oh, how cool! You guys do really great work. They're the real bicycle guys. I'm like sort of
yes.
bicycle guy, but they do a lot of fundraisers. So how many people are out there, Jeff? A lot of guys?
I have no idea. They've got it's pretty well spread out here. We're on the front side of Camp Good Days, and it looks like there's a pretty good turnout. Actually, how many I don't know.
All right, just say it really slowly. How far are you going to ride today?
42 miles.
How's the weather?
Pretty much just like it is back there.
Oh, it should be a really nice day. And tell me it's
Yeah,
flat
but-
as a pancake.
No,
it's never a flat.
It's about a 12 or 1,300 foot total climb.
guys.
We're changing elevation.
You're my
Very
heroes.
similar to riding around Chautauqua.
All right, Galen with you?
Yes, he is. He's right over here.
Okay.
He's the one that got me involved with this.
All right. Well, listen, we're kind of getting short on time. I got another caller, evidently.
Yeah, I realized that. You guys are making me hungry.
All right, well,
So
listen,
anyhow.
you guys be safe out there and tell us all about it next week, okay? And good on
All right,
you for
sounds
doing
good.
those fundraiser rides. Okay.
Yeah, get some carbs in today
The Zook
before that
boys.
ride.
Oh, yeah, they do
Oh,
too.
absolutely.
I learned my lesson last year. Let's not go there. Okay, thank you.
All right, we'll talk to you later.
Okay,
Have a
great.
good.
All right, Jeff. Okay, caller number 2, if you're there. Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
Oh, Linda.
Yeah, good morning. This is Linda Spalding.
Where
Good morning.
where have you been?
Well, you know,
Missing in action.
I took a sabbatical. No, I was kind of not around.
Okay.
Good morning, Carrie and Lacey. It's good to see you on the show. You're
good to see
my former staff people that I worked with.
Yeah.
And it's so good to see you on. Nutrition is so important for seniors.
Yes, yes. We miss you, Linda.
Oh, I miss everybody there. I do. I really do. And I miss all my coworkers and the setting, and of course I miss my seniors. So it's a great endeavor to do the kind of work that you're doing. So congratulations, and keep up the good work.
All right.
Thank you, Linda.
Okay.
And Doc, are you going to be going over to the Big Inlet?
When? Today?
Well, sometime soon.
I'm hearing October 2. Oh, no, scratch that. Sometime in October we're going to be returning. We were just there last week.
Oh, I'm sorry I missed you.
Yeah. Get on their Facebook page, and it has all the upcoming events. But yeah.
Okay, that's good. That's a great place to go. Today's
Awesome.
the perfect day, too,
Yeah, it is.
to be over there.
All right, Lynn.
Well, have a great day and a great weekend, and I'll talk to you soon.
All right. Thanks for calling. Good to hear from
Okay,
you again.
thank you. Uh-huh. You too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Lynn called in almost every week for years about the Office for the Aging and the Senior Employment Program and so on. All right, so spaghetti meatballs. Give me another one.
There's a Greek chicken meal.
Oh, I love the
That's
Greek
great,
chicken
yeah.
meal. Greek chicken with some Greek flavored potatoes, with of course, a side of a vegetable, a side of a fruit, and the milk. And that's pretty standard, that we always have some vegetables, some fruit, the dairy. We want to get the protein and the fiber in. The My Plate, which I've talked about before, half of your plate from fruits and vegetables. And statistically, well, the recommendation is that we should be having 4 to 9 servings of fruits and vegetables each day, right? But the statistics show us that the average older adult may consume 1 or 2 servings of fruits or vegetables per week.
Yeah.
And so the dining in program really helps increase the amount of fruits and vegetables that are being consumed by our older adults to help combat that malnutrition.
And when I mentioned my dad, it was no joke. I mean, when he went to work, if you opened up his lunchbox, there would be an apple, a pear, a banana, and a sandwich. I mean, that was standard. I mean, he ate all kinds of stuff like that. A question just came through my earpiece. What if somebody that wants to be in the program is a vegetarian or vegan?
So these are conversations that Carrie and I have had. So I'm technically still new to this role. I came in just about over a year ago, and have taken over this role. And one of the things that we're doing is really looking at kind of innovating the program and how it's built and what we want it to look like in about 5 years. And what's interesting, and I enjoy this challenge, is that we're really transitioning between two generations right now. So the World War generations, and then of course we have the great baby boomer generation coming up. So I'm assuming you may be part of that, Doc. So that's
a fair assumption.
Yeah. So we the needs and the desires of the baby boomers are very different than the generation that precedes them. So we have the challenge of figuring out a county-wide food system that meets the needs of both of these generations right now. So we are looking into the different opportunities offered through our contracts. So of course we aren't the food prep people ourselves. We contract that service out to partner kitchens in our county. And so there are some neat opportunities that we have on the horizon to be able to offer some vegetarian options, because we don't currently, as well as some maybe diet modified options as well. Things like low sodium or extra low sodium or renal. And maybe even some gluten-free diet options and things like that moving forward.
Yeah, and Carrie also spoiled my salt shaker.
Yes. So currently our dining in program, it is it can meet the needs for somebody who has heart disease or on a low sodium diet. We have less than 800 milligrams of sodium per meal, and it can work with a diabetic. So currently our diet works for many of the chronic disease processes that we see in place. But as Lacey said, we're really looking at, being able to serve those with a vegetarian need, a renal need, or a
very good
gluten-free need.
And I don't want it right now, but you have to send me a recipe for quinoa that is like pastry or something like a dessert, so I can get my family to eat it. I'm the only one. I mean, quinoa is a big pot of stuff. Yeah. Anyways, we got a minute and a half left, so let's start with you, Lacey. Say whatever you want to say, and.
Well, first, thanks for having us on. We really appreciate any opportunity to educate the public about what this program is and what it isn't. It's an honor I'm speaking for Carrie here too, but it really is an honor for us to serve the community in this way. And so if you feel that there are people who may need this service, we want to hear from them. And then of course we have experts in our office that go through that assessment and that dialogue and conversation with people that perhaps it's not the dining in program that really will best meet their need. It may be our dining together or our dining out program that we can come on at a later time and talk about those. But we do have lots of options, and every day we are building those out even more and more. So think of us first when you feel like there's maybe an issue for yourself or somebody in the community.
Gary?
Oh, I just concur. I thought she wrapped it up beautifully, for sure.
Okay.
We have so many services that will meet a broad spectrum of needs.
Okay,
not everybody falls into the need of having a dining in meal. They may have other needs, so we would love to talk about those.
I guess we'll have to have another show. All right, we'll work on that. So one more time, the number is 716-753-4582. Now, are there hours for that?
There's an answering service, an answering machine. They can leave a message, but basic business hours, we're there.
All right. Lacey Wilson and Carrie Skelton from the Office for Aging Services, thanks for joining me today, talking about the Dining In program. And folks, it's up to you. It's your choice. You want to do something? Call them. Thanks again. We're going to see you next week, right here, same time, 9 o'clock. And thanks for joining us. And I'm Doc Hamels, signing off for Chautauqua Sunrise. Have a great weekend, and we're going to do this all again. Take care.